Welcome, everyone. Today, we're diving into an explainer on SDG Goal 17, Partnerships for the Goals. You know, the Sustainable Development Goals are this massive, incredible plan for our planet. But here's the thing. We absolutely cannot succeed alone. To actually solve giant global problems like poverty and climate change, we, meaning countries, businesses, and everyday citizens, have to work together. It's all about the power of cooperation. Okay, here's our roadmap for today. We'll be looking at the global team, financial resources, technology and knowledge, trade and capacity building, systemic issues and data, and finally, how we can be united for a better world. So let's jump right into part 1, the global team and the power of cooperation. Think of it this way. No single country can achieve the SDGs by itself. Goal 17 is literally the engine that makes all the other goals happen. It does this by mobilizing and sharing money, technology, and knowledge. Without this engine, the rest of the goals, they just can't move forward. Moving on to part 2, financial resources, or funding the future. Right, so to fund these huge plans, the first step is mobilizing financial resources. This means we have to help developing countries improve their domestic resource mobilization. In simple terms, that's about building fair and efficient tax systems. When a country can collect its own revenue fairly, it can actually fund its own schools, hospitals, and green energy projects. It's a massive step toward real independence. At the same time, developed countries really must follow through on their official development assistance, or ODA for short. This is international cooperation where governments step up to promote economic development in developing nations that need it most. And there's a specific target here, 0.7%. Developed countries are asked to commit 0.7% of their gross national income, or GNI, to this official development assistance. Now, I know that sounds like a tiny, tiny fraction, but surprisingly, very few countries actually meet this goal. But if they did, wow, it would unlock massive, life-changing support. Another crucial piece of the finance puzzle is ensuring debt sustainability. We have to help poor nations manage their loans appropriately so they aren't totally overwhelmed by debt distress. We want to support highly indebted countries with debt relief rather than letting them be crushed under the weight of heavy loans. So let's say we have the finances in place. A really vital question then arises for a global community: how do we share science and ideas across borders? Because, well, money alone just isn't enough. We need the right tools, too. Which brings us to part 3, technology and knowledge, and connecting the world. To share this scientific knowledge, we promote North-South cooperation, which is where developed nations support developing nations with technology and funding. But just as importantly, we strongly encourage South-South cooperation. That's when developing countries help each other out by sharing solutions that already work in similar environments. And this actually builds into a pretty incredible model called triangular cooperation. It's essentially a 3-way partnership. Developing countries collaborate with each other, that's the South-South part, while receiving funding or technical support from a developed country. It is such a brilliant setup for sharing scientific knowledge and innovation globally. Through these exact cooperation models, we really need to push for the transfer of environmentally sound technologies to developing countries. We need these clean technologies to protect our natural world. And at the exact same time, we've got to improve access to basic information and communications technology, or ICT. Today, internet access is basically a fundamental building block for both education and business. Okay, but even with the money and the new technologies, we still have another challenge. How do we make the global market fair for everyone? If a developing country makes an amazing product, they need a fair, real chance to sell it. Let's look at part 4, trade and capacity building, leveling the playing field. To really empower these nations, we need a fair multilateral trading system. We're talking about a universal, rules-based, open, and equitable trade framework, managed under the World Trade Organization. This makes sure that global trading is non-discriminatory and gives absolutely everyone a fair shot at the global market. Under this system, a huge target is to significantly increase the exports of developing countries to help their economies grow faster. In fact, a major goal here is to actually double the global export share for the least developed countries, largely by giving them duty-free market access. Now, to actually make this work on the ground, we have to provide capacity building. This means giving international support to help developing nations create and implement highly effective national plans. Essentially, we're helping these nations build up the skills and institutions they need to compete on the global stage. Next up is part 5, systemic issues and data,
ensuring no one is left behind.
To hold this massive global engine together, we absolutely must improve policy coherence. That's a fancy way of saying we need to ensure that different government rules and strategies actually work together for sustainable development, rather than fighting against each other. Environmental, economic, and social policies, they all need to be rowing in the exact same direction. And doing that requires strong, multi-stakeholder partnerships. We need collaborative efforts that pull in everyone. We're talking large companies, governments, local communities, civil society, and citizens. We have to combine the unique expertise, technology, and financial resources from both the public and the private sectors. Finally, to prove we're actually succeeding, we need high-quality, timely data. And we have to disaggregate or break down this data by income, gender, age, race, and location. Tracking it this way guarantees we can see exactly who is benefiting and who isn't, which ensures nobody is left behind in the shadows.
Which brings us to our final section, Part 6, United for a Better World and Your Role in It.
Goal 17 reminds us that we are one global community. And by building these strong partnerships, we can turn massive global ideas into real, lasting action. As future leaders, you are going to be the bridge builders between nations, businesses, and cultures. So I want to leave you with one final question to think about. How will you cooperate with others to change the world? Let's achieve these goals together. Thanks so much for joining this explainer, and keep building those bridges.